Okay, let's go to UK and be with Miss Singleton. Either once or twice, I believe, maybe once. She was our guest, and if you type her name in YouTube, you will you will be able to see the video too. And I believe here we started with Mr. Khodabandeh. We will end our program with Miss Khodabandeh, also a Singleton. You should excuse me because of these noises and okay, maybe I should use her own. Yeah, here. Sorry. Okay, I don't have your video. It says Cyberlink, or it says you can, and it's vertical, but there's still no video.
Massoud, come and help.
Okay, I have you. It's okay. It's okay. The reason I start laughing because whenever we have technical problem, my wife called me too. I said, "What am I? 24/7 tech support." All right, let's. I'm so glad seeing you. Something is wrong. The video goes off and on and come back. Yeah. The problem with Skype is if you use another program, then they get the hold of your camera. Now it's good. Now it's good. Thank you so much. And let's talk about cult and cultic situation. Okay. Uh, we are with Miss Anne Singleton, and she's very active. You can see her videos, interviews. You can read the article she write about this situation. And now we're gonna uh, listen to see what she's saying about this cultic situation, sect situation. If you can shed some light on this situation, why does MEK prevent the members and their families from having contact each other? When we see even in Iran, mullahs give, time for prisoners to go home and be with their family. Sometimes if they need surgery or so, they can go out and come back. Why this organization that claim they're gonna give freedom to 80 million people in Iran, they cannot even do it for their own member?
So for the last 40 years, Rajavi has used every kind of psychological manipulation, coercion, and sort of control to make sure the members are under control and do not leave. One of the
I'm sorry, you can go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay, sure. So I've got a time gap here. So one of the let me just resync that. Rajavi very recently, 20 years ago, when the Americans invaded Iraq and sort of captured the MEK and they put them into the camp. The families of these members who have not had contact with them for many, many years. Within months, literally months of the start of the war, they made plans to go and try and find their loved ones inside the Camp Ashraf. And so in conditions of war and devastation, which we're all familiar with at that time, 2003 and onward, the families made that really perilous journey to get to Iraq and try to get to the gates of the camp and find their relatives and try to basically find out what had happened to them, because in many cases they had no news at all after that person had left Iran or gone from Europe or wherever they'd joined MEK from, or indeed, as Edward is saying, being a prisoner of war. There was no news about them, so they made this journey, and little by little they began to become organised. They got in touch with the former members, who were also trying to facilitate this kind of support and help for the members inside the Mujahideen. Their efforts were aimed at trying to bring them back to the real world, you know, give them information about what's happening out there. I can't remember who said it, but you know, some people who come out, they don't even know how to use a phone. They're just so isolated. So the families went, and they kept coming, and they kept going, and they organised. In the end, a group formed called Nejat Organisation, Nejat Association, which for non-Farsi speakers, almost it means like the Rescue Society. And so they were organised, and they would make these trips, and it became like a pilgrimage for them almost. But what happened was that the families had an effect on the people inside the camp, and it meant that many, you know, they would speak at the camp gate. They had loudspeakers calling for their families, trying to get in touch with them, and quite a few people who heard these families, they became quite confused, let's say, because you know they were so controlled by the MEK environment that it was really shocking for them that some families were outside the camp. How did that happen? They couldn't comprehend it. In the end, quite a few people left because of that. They managed to find their way out. Massoud Khodabandeh, in the beginning, he talked about a separate camp which was set up by the American army. It was what you call a temporary internment and protection facility, TIPF. And many of the Iranians in the camp, they left and went there. And because of the visits from the families, this became a problem. And so Rajavi kind of wanted this camp closed. In the end it was, because that was a kind of a way in to the Camp Ashraf. Anyway, so that didn't stop the families. 2009 that camp was shut, but the families kept going. And don't forget for a minute that Iraq was under the most severe conditions of war. ISIS was coming down from the north. Rajavi was in full support of this group, and sort of part of the insurgency. So Rajavi described the families as poison to the members. He said these people are the worst enemy. Why? Because once a person who's been in that kind of artificial conditions of repression, once their mind is triggered to their families, they have emotional memories. You can't stop that. You can't prevent yourself from having these emotional memories. Even if they come in your dreams, they're part of you. You know, you may forget your spouse, or you may forget your friends, but you will not forget your family, and you will not forget your children. And so having that contact was very, very, it really undermined the control that Rajavi had over the members. Now, some families were successful in getting their family loved ones out somewhere. We've heard already about the Mohammadi family who went to Albania to try to find their daughter, Sumaya. That was, you know, how it should have been. As we said at the beginning of the programme, one of the most kind of unusual aspects from the MEK's history is to actually end up in this European country with a population of around 2 million people. And it is essentially a free country, unlike Iraq. And so you do get the people are able to investigate what's happening there, find out, lawyer, historian, investigative journalist, they're all on the case. But of course, MEK, when they did arrive in Albania, they did what they always do, and that is to toxify the political situation of the government, toxify the institutions of the country, the media, the police. We've heard from your Albanian contributors how they have been able to almost like take control of the country on their own behalf. What this meant was that when the families led by Nejat believed that having left Iraq, it would be much easier to actually access their family members in MEK, and so just travel. Let's get a visa and go to Albania. Unfortunately, because of this corruption that the MEK have imposed on the Albanian country, the government now has denied visas for the families, and so Mohammadi was able to go because he has a Canadian passport, and there have been a few other visits, but anybody trying to get to Albania from Iran the families have been denied visas. Now, does it matter? They haven't seen their families for 40 years. You know, they're not going to see them now. Well, if I can just bring things back quickly to the title of this inquiry, if you like, this debate, is that, you know, with Trump gone, is MEK finished? Well, that's a political question. And Migena Bala, in her excellent presentation, said that the agreement which was drawn up between America, Albania and MEK, and the UNHCR, I have to say, is a political agreement. And we don't know for sure what exactly is in there. What we do know is that that agreement was drawn up under the Obama administration. And so whatever is in that agreement was dropped. So that agreement possibly could be something to go back to. It did certainly contain the condition that MEK would be de-radicalized. So that we know is part of that program. Now, under a Biden administration, we don't know for sure whether that would be reinstated. It has every possibility of being reinstated. In that case, we're talking about disbanding the MEK, disbanding MEK. And as many, you know, the West generally have had a huge problem in actually dealing with MEK. It's taken a long journey for them to actually sort of get to grips with the organisation. But sometimes solutions can be found. Some are much more simple than you think they are. One of the reasons that Mariam Rajavi was tolerated, and I say tolerated very deliberately, in France and Europe, although I have to add she never got a visa to visit the UK, as she's never allowed in America either. But she was in France for the simple reason, I believe, that they could not, the French government couldn't deport her to Iraq because it was a dangerous place for her. But of course, the MEK are now in Albania, and so there is no reason whatsoever why they couldn't send her there, and they have. So, as I said, sometimes the solutions are very simple. Now, coming back to the disbanding of MEK, it might be that people say, oh, there's got to be a big institution to de-radicalise them and, get them back into normal society. Well, I would suggest that the solution is much, much more simple and cost-effective and actually effective than that. And that is simply allow their families to come to Albania, make contact with them, make that family connection again, and then help them. Some of the families, they don't have the resources, but they have the love and they have the connection, they have the concern to help these people. And in that way, anyone who does want to stay of their own free will can do so. But if people want to leave, they have their family. The major problem, I think we've heard Mr. Hayrani was saying that, one of the problems that people have is if you want to leave MEK, where do you go? The Albanian government is hostile. They don't have any ID documents, as Miguel Nabala was saying. They don't have any travel documents, work permits, even a standard ID. They can't open a bank account. The conditions for leaving are extremely hard. Any easing of those conditions will almost certainly result in many, many, many dissatisfied members from leaving.
Thank you very much. I was going to do this conclusion with the panel, everybody, but because we are behind time and we may do it some other time. One of my friends says those that they are inside of organization, you can say they are like those people that they are addicted to a drug or something, and they are ashamed and they do hesitate. Even if the family goes over there, they may tell their family that I'm good, I will stay over here. But the way you explain it, it was very clear, and you said it's very simple. Let them be together for a while, then see what will happen. Did I get it correctly, or?
No, I think that's true. I think that if you are you've sort of devoted, if you like, 40 years of your life to MEK, it's going to be very, very hard for you to roll back on that and say, actually, I was wrong. And that's the beginning of your journey. It is possible, and that is the kind of what you might call the light bulb moment. Just something switches on in your head when you just say, wait, I was deceived, they lied to me, everything they said was untrue. Once you have that switch on, you won't go back. You cannot go back to them.
Turning point, yeah.
You're away.
Ms. Singleton, thank you for being with us. One personal question by Mr. Alizadeh. He said, hello, Mr. Singleton, I remember that Rajavi was very scared of you and your husband. Actually, it's not a question, it's your human rights activities help to clarify the facts. I think many of those who separated from Rajavi sect were the result of your effort. Special thanks to you. And that's a compliment. I'm glad you are with us, and if you have something to say, please go ahead. If not, I hope next time we see you sooner than the time before. I remember how many years ago we had you and you talk, and your video still is on YouTube. Thank you for thinking of others. Thank you for being a light and show the way to, how they can be free. And if somebody wants to free others, like when we are passenger in airplane, they said, first you should take care of yourself, then take care of others. I hope they can get to this point, and based on that, they find their own way, and we are not telling anybody what to do, what not to do, but they can see, the others that they got separated. Now at least they can decide what time to wake up, what time to go to sleep, who to talk to, and what to do during day. Thanks again for being with us, and I become quiet, you say something.
I realise time is very short, and what I would ask is, I have my own request from yourself, that we have a programme about the families, and that we can actually discuss that more, because I think that's something that's in need of really clarifying and opening up for people.
Sure. Looking forward, and I'm glad that more people now, leave the situation that they didn't want to come out and talk about it. As you say, sometimes, we have to give them time to come out, and gladly, we will talk, and hopefully we will have this kind of panel in better situation. This was the first time for me, and if there was something wrong and we couldn't do it very well, I really apologize, but I hope I can do it better. Once again, Mr. Ibrahim Khodabandeh said, thank you everyone in the panel, and he thanked me. No need for thank you for being with us. I wish you the best. Let's hope for better days. In America right now, we see the light at the end of tunnel finally, with Mr. Biden. Let's hope that Mr. Trump walk away easily, and we we see better days.
Let's hope so.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us 4 hours, 11 o'clock to 3 p.m. Hopefully we can do more programs like this, more organized. Imagine it's very hard for me switching from Farsi to English and having so many guests, different situation, different country, different internet speed, and different gadget. One using Mac, one using telephone, one using Windows PC. But what's important is we did it. I wish you the best and have a lovely weekend.